Between Southwest Missouri State in the maroon and in the white, the Ole Miss Lady Rebels. Drew Goodman along with Tracy Warren in the Rebels control.
Watch how patient Ole Miss is on offense. Watch the pressure defense from Southwest Missouri State.
Quick cut to the hoop and an easy lay-in. 31, Clara Jackson getting her first hoop. What are the keys tonight for both schools?
Basically, Southwest Missouri State has got to keep Mississippi off the boards. They also want to control the tempo, up pace. They don't want to fall in that slow pace that Mississippi wants to fall into. Of course, on offense, even size all the way up. They've got to move the ball and the teamwork. You'll see a lot of ball movement.
Rapier is trapped in the middle. Here's a three-pointer on the way. First of many tonight. It was a little bit off the mark for Tina Robbins. But Southwest will hold on to the basketball.
Now we know Cheryl Burnett is very defensive-minded. You're going to see full court pressure, man-to-man, trying to force a lot of turnovers from Ole Miss.
Actually, it was Ole Miss basketball. Bringing it up, Jackie Martin. She does a little of everything for Van Chancellor's club. Another easy hoop. Gehring to the cutter, Clara Jackson. She owns all 4 Ole Miss points, and it's a shutout early.
Ole Miss is not going to get out of their offense. They're not going to try and let themselves get rattled. Look how easy and look how smooth their offense is flowing. They know where the cutters are going.
It was knocked into the backcourt, so it is not a backcourt violation.
Now remember, both teams have scores in double figures, so you're going to see a lot of balanced scoring.
Tina Robbins takes it herself as the 30-second shot clock was winding down. 4-2 and immediate pressure in the backcourt. They will play a tough, tenacious man-to-man defense throughout.
Scrappy team, physical team, well-coached team, both sides.
Jackie Martin weaves in, gets her own rebound, puts it back up and in. Jackie Martin, the fifth-year senior from Vicksburg, Mississippi.
Southwest Missouri State, big factor for them. Keep Miss off the boards if you want to contend here. That's a couple times down the floor where they did not box out.
Turnover and offensive foul. Tanya Bockham with the elbow. That'll be the first team foul on Southwest Missouri.
That's case in point of the physical play of Southwest Missouri State. And Cheryl Burnett says if you can get away with a shove, go ahead. Try and disrupt their offensive flow or defensive flow. If you're underneath the basket, fight for position.
Full court pressure. They get it inbounds to Banks. Charlotte Banks. Van Chancellor says, as she goes, Ole Miss goes.
Gilchrist, the ball handler. Now we're going to see a lot of the post players come out high. We're going to see Gehring shoot from out top. She's a three-point shooter. Not a lot of in the paint play by Ole Miss.
There is Van Chancellor, the loquacious one. He is a lot of fun to visit with. Jackson again, partially blocked, but a foul on Bockham, and that is 2 quick personals on Tanya, the junior from Pleasanton, Kansas.
And we'll see that it's almost like Southwest Missouri State is getting caught out of position as Bockham really puts her back to the ball and loses position, and that sends Cheryl Burnett to the bench to make her first substitution already. She's not afraid to make substitutes. Remember, she goes 10 deep.
That's right. Heidi Muller will come in, a 6'4" senior from Iowa. Jackson now with 5 points in the ballgame. She had 21 in the win over Penn State and 10 rebounds. It was her 10th double-double of the season. And she is just a sophomore. She was the SEC Freshman of the Year last season.
Both of these sides, so many weapons.
Good denial. Charlotte Banks, open floor. Wingfield behind her, but Banks lays it in. 10-2. Ole Miss off early.
Ole Miss beating Southwest Missouri State at their own game, playing really tenacious defense, good deny defense, help man-to-man, good communication.
This is Cecilia Wingfield. They go inside to Muller, and the ball's tied up. The jump ball possession arrow will keep it with the Lady Bears.
The Lady Bears look a little tentative out there. It's almost like Ole Miss is playing their game, playing their tempo game, doing what they want to do. I still think Southwest Missouri State is looking for flow.
That's Julie Howard, the defensive stopper, who comes in and going out of the ball game. 2 players. Wingfield goes out. Melody Howard, Julie's sister, goes out. Now coming in, is Anjanette Sumrall.
Boy, we're just 3 minutes into this ball game. Already 3 subs off the Southwest Missouri State bench. Cheryl Burnett will try to use bodies to wear Ole Miss down. She says we're not as athletic as them, but we have a lot of teamwork. We have a lot of players who can get physical and try and wear those bodies down. Try and wear Banks down, Martin down, Jackson down.
Sabrina McNair has just entered the game for Charlotte Banks. So, as you mentioned, Tracy, a lot of new faces in a hurry. And here is one quick layup. That is Charity Shira, one of 4 seniors for Southwest. And the immediate pressure.
Good penetration by her. She showed her team there, yes, we can penetrate this Ole Miss defense and take it to the basket.
Cheryl Burnett said with the pressure, we just want to affect their offense. And so far, Ole Miss, Tracy's handled it pretty well. There's a reach-in foul. It'll go against number 30, Tina Robbins. So that's the 3rd team foul on Southwest.
Again, the thing we're seeing about Ole Miss is they are so patient on offense. They will pass, pass, pass. And then Southwest Missouri State, if they're jittery, if they're nervous, they'll get a reach-in foul. We've seen that a couple times down the court.
McNair got about 10 seconds on the floor, and Charlotte Banks is back in for her. They go to Banks, turnaround jumper is a little long off the back iron. There's Clara Jackson.
Another rebound for Ole Miss.
And immediately they go back to the blocks, and a little wraparound by 44 Banks, and she'll go to the line.
Southwest Missouri State has got to deny that entry pass. We see a lot of physical play underneath, the pushing, the shoving, getting a body on Charlotte Banks. There's 2 here, and she threads the needle and still gets the shot off, and will go to the line.
And a story that is developing very quickly. 4 team fouls against Southwest Missouri State, none on the Lady Rebels, and we've only played 3 minutes and 21 seconds as Cheryl Burnett looks on and looks concerned as her club is down 7.
Well, she's got so many leaders out there. As she said, this is her dream team. And the seniors know when something is going wrong, and she has the confidence to let them correct it.
McNair back in now for Jackson, so liberal substitutions early. Sumner pulls it down. Get back to Robbins. She is guarded very closely there by Howard.
Moving the ball, looking to get it inside, but there's no room there. Ole Miss doing a nice job of closing it down underneath.
Our officials for tonight's ball game, Dee Kantner and Ray Bamelli. Bamelli had that call.
Exactly what Southwest Missouri State needs to do is take it up more, draw the fouls, because if Ole Miss only goes 6 deep, the more fouls you can get on these girls, the easier you can take them out of the game. They'll need to penetrate, go to the hoop as much as possible, as early as possible.
Charity Shira from Fairgrove, Missouri. She transferred from Rice her sophomore year with the Owls. She averaged nearly 17 a game, but wanted to go closer to home and felt that Southwest was a perfect place for her. 82% on the season from the line, and she knocks both down.
Here comes a pressure man-to-man defense. Cheryl Burnett said, yeah, we'll track when we have to force turnovers. Robbins getting beat.
Here's a 3-pointer, and that's a little off the mark for Gilchrist, who's one of the nation's best. Southwest can cut it to 3, maybe 2. Good movement. Howard's left alone, doesn't get it. Sumrall, rebound, up and in. 45, Anjanette Sumrall, the freshman from East St. Louis.
And that's what she's known for, her leaping ability and her rebounding, and that's why you saw her come in the game early. Southwest Missouri State is getting beat on the boards, and Sumrall's answered that problem.
Gilchrist has it rejected, but a blocking foul on Sumrall at the other end. That is her 2nd.
The thing we're seeing here is Southwest Missouri State is not as quick as Ole Miss, and they're fighting to catch up and get into position. As a result, they're getting fouls. Here we're seeing the ball being brought down the court by Kim Gilchrist, and Sumrall just caught out of position. The quickness, the athletes of Ole Miss, really indicative of the SEC play.
Now Sumrall comes out, and Karen Rapier comes in, 22.
4 subs for Southwest Missouri State.
If it sounds in the background at least like a home crowd for the Lady Bears. It sort of is. They have traveled over 1,300 people from Springfield, Missouri. And Ole Miss from Oxford, only about 35 or 40 have been able to make the trip. Obviously, it's a much further distance, but a huge contingent of Lady Bear fans.
Southwest Missouri State just picking up steam along the way.
Cecilia Wingfield with it. She is yet to get off a shot. She's very gifted offensively. Now she fires, swatted away by Banks, and it goes out of bounds off 34, Heidi Muller.
And we'll see that Southwest Missouri State would have been better served by a pump fake there. Wingfield going against the athleticism of Charlotte Banks. Charlotte Banks has seen it. She's played with the SEC's best. You need the pump fake. Southwest Missouri State needs the pump fake. Pass that ball around, look for the open person. Look at Martin put the moves on.
And it comes back outside. Jumper put up by Gehring. That rolls in and out. And there is Banks again. 3 and 4 opportunities for Ole Miss each time, and Southwest cannot allow that.
Gehring is a tough outside defender as they're pushing underneath. Here goes the pushing and shoving already. And the different look by Southwest Missouri State on defense. They need to have good communication, not there.
Gehring in congestion lays it up and in, her first bucket.
The back doors they are succeeding at. Southwest Missouri State needs to close down those back doors.
That's the third back cut that has led to an easy bucket for Ole Miss. They have a 6-point lead, 14-8. Wingfield spins in and had an opportunity for a 3-point play.
And Wingfield is probably the best athlete on this Southwest Missouri State team, and she will go head-to-head with a Charlotte Banks, a Jackson, a Martin. She just took 3 girls on right underneath there. Again, she needs to lead her team. As we see, she's averaging well better than 10 points per game, over 5 rebounds. She's a complete player, but also she has the leadership, and she's showing her team, yeah, I can go up against these 3 girls and also get them into foul trouble. Here comes a substitution for Ole Miss.
That's McNair coming in. She's getting a workout just going from the bench onto the floor. This is the 3rd time she's checked in. The game's 5.5 minutes old.
Van Chancellor says, I'm just going to send her in there. She's a good athlete. Let her spell the starters and then, pull her right back out again. He wants to stay with those 5 starters. He's going to lecture on the side, and then he'll send his starter right back in.
Wingfield, the psychology major, goes 1 of 2, kept alive. Rapier up and in, and it is a 3-point play for Southwest Missouri, and they needed that. 3-point game now.
They say she's got ice in her veins. She plays some great on the glass. She checks people out. We just saw it there. The pressure, full court pressure. Now getting back on the transition defense.
Banks needs to pick up the dribble. Fortunate she didn't lose it. Gilchrist can fire from 3. Nothing but nylon. Kim Gilchrist, 2nd in the nation in 3-point field goal percentage. Boy, you saw why right there. Stolen by Jackson.
Dangerous pass, dangerous pass. They're passing 2 or 3 away, and Cheryl Burnett is furious. Comes the communication.
Casey Williams gives off. Banks with it.
Gilchrist, you see, she drew that. She's rolling respect from 3-point lane, and she threatened there and just dished it in.
There's a kind roll for Charlotte Banks. She has 5 now, the senior from Gulfport.
The key to that play is Gilchrist drew the respect from the 3-point line. She penetrated, drew the double team, and dished off and got the open man, being Charlotte Banks.
Muller loses it, and it comes to us.
Drew.
Watch Kim Gilchrist set up here. She has great form, and she's well beyond the arc on this shot.
And flawless under pressure. She sees a lot of movement going on in the paint. She says, I'll keep it and take it myself. And when you're averaging better than 50% from 3-point land, I'd put that shot up as well.
Melody Howard with it. She averages 15 a game. She is yet to score. But Wingfield now is starting to get loose.
You see Wingfield doing most of the work in the paint when Ole Miss collapses down with 2-3 players.
Jack Martin's handling the pressure in the backcourt herself. McNair gets bumped. Stolen by Howard.
Smart smart move for her to pull up. She's 1-on-2 there. They've got the seams in there. Southwest Missouri State has the seams. They just need somebody to slice through. Now they'll start their motion offense.
Tina Robbins needs help. Howard traveled. She thought about the three, and then when she made the move to the hoop, she shuffled her pivot foot.
She had the double screen there for a second, and then she looked away, and then she thought she'd put it on the ground and drive, but the indecision cost her the traveling violation.
Turnovers, Southwest with 4. Ole Miss has done a good job against pressure. And now another team foul against the Lady Bears, and it'll go against 35, Melody Howard, her first.
Ole Miss is so quick, whether it's getting the ball inbound, moving off the dribble, recovering on defense. They're so quick, and with Southwest Missouri State getting caught out of position, they'll push, pull, and get into foul trouble that way.
Gilchrist comes back in for Casey Williams. Are you surprised that the pressure has not bothered Ole Miss at all?
Not at all. When you play in the SEC, you play some top names like a Tennessee, a Kentucky, a Georgia. You play in one of the toughest conferences in women's basketball. They've got really ice in their veins. They're used to it.
Second turnover, Tina Robbins.
We're starting to see Southwest Missouri State get in their flow with the turnovers and then pushing the ball up court.
Cheryl Burnett says, we don't want to give any free passes. And they rarely do. One of the finest defensive teams in the nation, Southwest Missouri. Their average margin of victory better than 24 points a game. Whistle inside, it'll go against 34, Kristen Gehring.
Southwest Missouri State doing a good job of passing the ball, working from the outside to the inside. If it's not there, they'll pass back out. But on that time, Miss got caught with the reach-in.
Here goes back outside to Howard.
Remember, no real true post players on either of these teams. They don't have the size, so a lot of these girls will come out on the wing and take the shot. They're better facing the basket. Some of the guards will post up down low and take their girls down low.
Rapier goes up, doesn't get it in, and Winkfield's over the back. That one is easy to call.
Winkfield was very much out of position. Surprised she tried for that. Gets called for the foul. That's something that Southwest Missouri State can't do is get frustrated and get called out of position.
And that is the 7th team foul against the Lady Bears, so it'll be a 1-and-1 situation at the other end. Coming up Monday night, the semifinals, the Final Four of the NIT here on ESPN, Virginia and Florida, and Rick Majerus' Utah Utes against John McLeod's Fighting Irish. And Wednesday we'll carry the championship game for you. That'll start at 9 Eastern. The championship of the NIT from Madison Square Garden.
Kristen Gehring, a 76% free throw shooter. Again, she's a big girl, but she's better facing the basket. Not somebody you want to send to the line. She'll hurt you.
And it comes away, 2-on-1, Winkfield. She pulls it back down to Robbins, and now they rotate the basketball to the weak side. Howard goes inside, and now
kick out.
swing it. Robbins knocks down the 3.
Nice.
She has 5.
Very good kick out by Southwest Missouri State. They saw 2 and 3 Ole Miss players down low. They kicked it back out. That's the way to move the ball on offense.
Gilchrist looking for help, and now the Lady Bear fans starting to get involved. Denied. There's a turnover. Robbins, second of the ball game, second steal. Little layup goes down, 43 inside, that's Bonkum.
She is a power center. She will muscle with the best of them, and that's exactly what she did there.
This is as close as they've been since we tossed it up. 2018, Ole Miss lead, now just 2.
Van Chancellor trying to slow the pace down, as you see. Miss taking her time, bringing the ball up the court. Here comes the double team.
Banks goes to Jackie Martin, who tries a long three-pointer, and she knocks it through.
Ole Miss is so good. Just when you think you have them down, one of these girls puts up an incredible shot and really takes the air out of your defensive scheme. They are so good at making the pressure shots. Martin, Jackson, Banks.
You know, Martin, Tracy, might be a better shooter than her fiance, and he plays in the NBA. Gerald Glass, the former star at Mississippi, now with the Timberwolves.
Well, she probably showed him a thing or two.
I imagine she did. Karen Rapier, her second bucket.
Starting to see more power from Southwest Missouri State in the low post.
Martin goes 1-on-4, kicks off, and now back to Jackie.
Look at Ole Miss hovering around that three-point lane. They are not penetrating inside that. They're looking for the three-point basket.
Count the basket, Jackie Martin. She is impressive.
Martin, a nice job. Checked out her options. The girls on the wings were covered, down low was covered. She said, I'll keep it. Drew the foul, plus has an opportunity for a three-point play.
She hit a big three-pointer, Jackie Martin, the other night against Penn State. She had been 3 of 10 at that point when she hit the three-pointer, and Van Chancellor says that's the kind of player she is. She forgot about her shooting woes of the night. When it was crunch time, she wanted the shot.
She provides such leadership for this team. She looks left, looks right, doesn't see it open, so she says, I'll put it up myself, and she draws the foul. Karen Rapier gets pegged. Martin, remember, hurt her knee last year. She had the red shirt about the 4th game into the season, and Ole Miss had a so-so season. Well, this is what Jackie Martin has meant to this ball club. Ole Miss won the regular season in the SEC, and now they're off to one of their best starts and have a chance to make the Final Four their first time in history. And Van Chancellor said a lot of that has to do with Jackie Martin.
Reconstructive knee surgery a year ago. He wasn't sure she'd be able to come back. Now Charity Shira wants a set play for Cheryl Burnett.
Working the screens. Looking to get Melody Howard up, but she's well covered.
Rapier turns around, is a little bit long with it. I was watching her shoot earlier, inside 15 feet. She's deadly. 26-20, Ole Miss by a half dozen.
There's Martin beating Julie Howard. That's a mismatch right there.
Martin gets doubled, loose basketball. Which way? It'll go for the Lady Bears.
Credit Southwest Missouri State for seeing the mismatch, seeing that Julie Howard could not match up with Martin, so they double teamed, provided some help, resulted in a turnover.
Rapier gets it down low on the driveway.
What a move, what a move. She saw 2 defenders on her right, turned around to the left. Scrappy defense, here it comes again.
And a 5-second violation, so finally that full court pressure paid off, Tracy.
And every time Southwest Missouri State does something well, it riles this crowd up, and I think Ole Miss hears them. He said, Van Chancellor said, I don't want my team to get riled up by that. I don't want this crowd to get into the game. And the more Southwest Missouri State gets momentum, gets tempo, the more the crowd gets up.
Shira with it off the inbounds, and now they'll swing the basketball. Turnovers are evening up after Ole Miss took good care of it early. And now it's Southwest hitting the glass.
And good for them, they reset, try and get another offense. Looking for the double screen up high, that did not work, so they'll try another option.
Away from the basketball, offensive foul on Backham. And that is her 3rd. So Cheryl Burnett will quickly get somebody up. It'll be Anjanette Sumrall. It might be the last we see of the starting center for the Lady Bears with 8:05 left in the first half.
As we take a look at the foul down low, this is the 2nd time Tanya Balcom got called for pushing and using her body. She's 6 foot, and really to lose that height, you know, it might not sound tall, but 6 foot is probably one of the tallest starters Southwest Missouri State has. So she's got 3 personal fouls with 8 minutes in the first half. She's going to sit the bench.
These 2 teams are by far the shortest 2 teams left in the tournament. If you missed it earlier on ESPN, Virginia has moved along to Los Angeles in the Final Four. They beat Vanderbilt. 26-22 here, Ole Miss by 4. Along with Tracy Warren, I'm Drew Goodman.
As you saw, though, both of these teams don't let their size affect them. They would not have made it this far had that been a factor. Shot clock down to 6.
Shira doesn't get it. Look who's there. Put it in the book. 22, Karen Rapier, who's taken over.
Rapier does a nice job of fending off and establishing position underneath the basket. As the shot goes up, now she moves into position, draws with the dribble, and again, she'll have a chance for a 3-point play.
2nd personal on Kristen Gehring. And there's Gehring getting some personal attention from Van Chancellor.
What you're seeing now is not only are the Ole Miss starters getting into foul trouble, but you're seeing them start to get tired. There's all these bodies coming in from Southwest Missouri State. They're playing an up-tempo type game. Van Chancellor told us he's going to use the TV timeouts to his advantage.
They come from Oxford, Mississippi. I asked Van, I said, is the altitude going to affect your club? He said, I made a deal with everybody associated with us. If anybody mentioned altitude on this entire trip, they were going to be sent back to Oxford, not by plane, but by bus. I guess that's one way of dealing with it, huh?
Obviously, being in Colorado, you think they'd be affected by the altitude. 6 seconds on the shot clock.
And a foul away from the ball. Dee Kantner with the call.
This is Van Chancellor's plan. Be patient on offense, force the other team to break down on defense, force them to make fouls. That's happened successfully a couple times already.
14 seasons, he has done it all. Never a losing season. 13 20-win seasons. He wins today. He'll have his second 30-win season, and three-time SEC Coach of the Year. He picked up his third this past season.
That is an amazing feat, considering all the coaches that are in the SEC. Van Chancellor, to get SEC Coach of the Year is amazing. You've got Pat Summitt, you've got Jim Foster, who's the new coach of Vanderbilt, had a tremendous season. Sue Gunter, Andy Landers, you've got Joe Champy, just some tremendous coaches in the SEC.
He keeps them loose. He's got a joke about every other sentence. Jackie Martin is having quite an offensive night. She's in double figures with 10. Both teams are shooting it well.
And we talked about the parity among these teams, both averaging about 10 rebounds so far, both 5 turnovers, both shooting about 56% or better.
Rapier was knocked down, and 32 was Sabrina McNair. She was closest, and she gets whistled.
Good thing, because Rapier was trying her best Harlem Globetrotter act, and it wasn't going to work. As we see now, Ole Miss putting on some pressure, but McNair, just the bump in there, caught out of position.
She had the presence of mind, as you said, to keep the dribble going. 35, Melody Howard comes back in, and she is yet to score.
Well, they know she's a three-point shooter. Van Chancellor says, let's close that down. If she goes out there, stay after her.
Shot clock was reset, so plenty of time.
Fighting through screens, Ole Miss fighting through screens. They're trying not to switch. They do not want to switch on the man-to-man defense.
Now Robbins will try to go one-on-one. Shot clock's down to 5. They got to get one off. Howard off the screen, forces one up and in. Melody Howard breaks the ice.
That's the way to make it work, to sink that basket. Wear down Ole Miss defense. The crowd is back into it.
McNair gives back to Martin, too close in proximity, and Jackie shot her a glance.
Now, Van Chancellor said, I faced a team that has this defensive pressure. Tennessee, they are relentless, on-the-ball pressure. Cheryl Burnett, she wants all on-the-ball pressure. She is a big advocate of the defensive game. As we take a look at Howard, knows the clock is running down, penetrates, and gets it in. That's the way to make it.
Quick release, avoided the block. Chance for the Lady Bears to take the lead. It would be their first.
And Howard being only 5'8" to put that shot up over a girl who's about 5'9" is something to talk about.
Robbins can't get the layup, but Summerall's there, and now we have a whistle. The Lady Bears have done a much better job in the second 5 or 6 minutes of this half than they did in the first 10 in terms of boxing out and getting to the glass.
Well, they're pulling together. They know when the chips are down that they've got to pull together and find some cohesivity, and that Cheryl Burnett wants her team to adapt to a quick, up-tempo type play. Communication is key to their defense and to their offense.
Summerall with it, she needs help. Now she goes to the post. Howard posted up and gives the Lady Bears their first lead with 5:44 left in the first half.
Over Jackie Martin, who is somewhat of a good defender, but Jackie Martin got beat there.
Turnaround jumper, Banks, who had been quiet the last few minutes, she now has 7.
Over the double team even, 5'10", and she goes over a double team. She's got great leaping ability.
Back and forth we go. Anjanette Summerall, the freshman.
Gehring let her get a step on her, and she just beat her. Summerall just beat Gehring. Look at the post. posts up high for Ole Miss. Banks is trying to get free, and they cannot find her.
She had to force it up. Great defensive series there by the Lady Bears.
They were looking for Banks. She was not open, and it caused a forced shot.
Before the shot, Wingfield is going to be ticketed. An offensive foul against Cecilia Wingfield, the junior from Blue Springs, Missouri. Southwest Missouri State, they are located in Springfield, Missouri, 30-2 this year, and last year was their first ever tournament appearance, and they lost to the eventual national champions, the Tennessee Lady Vols and Pat Summitt.
And that was the motivation that gave Cheryl Burnett and her ball club to come out on fire this year.
She was a heck of a player at Kansas, a four-year starter for Marion Washington there. And of course, in the first round, they knocked off the University of Kansas.
Well, she's a heck of a coach. In just 5 years, she's led her team to the Sweet 16, and now the Elite Eight. She is a heck of a coach.
Robbins goes to Shira.
The battle underneath. Summerall.
Shira penetrates, and now she's in a jam. Somehow comes away. How about that?
That shot was indicative of the relentless motivation, the relentless energy that this Lady Bear team has. Ole Miss wanted a traveling violation. Not going to happen. Right now, the teamwork of Southwest Missouri State is beating the athleticism of Ole Miss.
Gary gets doubled. She finds Clara Jackson. Her short jumper's off the mark. And now Southwest Missouri can go up by 5, maybe 6. Shira left alone. 18-footer, rips it through. Charity Shira, she has 8 off the bench. And all of a sudden, Southwest Missouri with a 5-point lead.
And they've got the tempo, they've got the momentum too. And the defensive pressure keeps up by Southwest Missouri State.
And it has to feel like Ole Miss is on the road right now with the 1,300 strong Southwest. Gary hits the shot, I don't know how. She was undercut as she went to the hoop.
She's got muscle under the boards. You know, she is known for her outside shooting, and because of that, that pulled up the defender Summerall, and she just blew by 2-3 defenders. As the help defense, we see she, respected for her outside shooting, puts the ball on the floor, and then the help defense by Heidi Muller, she gets the foul. She draws the foul.
That's the first on Muller.
So many of these Ole Miss players are versatile. They can hit from the outside, but they've got dribble penetration.
35-33, 3:35 left. Along with Tracy Warren, I'm Drew Goodman. In the Maroons, Southwest Missouri State.
7 different Lady Bears have scored, and we're showing the well-roundedness of the Southwest Missouri State Ball Club. 5 different Ole Miss players have scored.
Rapier has it stolen by Jackie Martin.
Good transition defense by Southwest Missouri State.
Both teams shooting exceptionally well.
Banks is getting banged around underneath. That paint is a deadly area.
Clara Jackson walked before the bucket. She wasn't thrilled with the call, and neither was Van Chancellor.
Very physical team, this Lady Bear team. They will bump and push and get away with whatever they can get away with to throw you off your momentum and off your routine, and it's working very well against Ole Miss.
Howard reverses the ball to Robbins. Now they go on the blocks. Nicely done. Heidi Muller gets her first bucket, the 6'4" senior.
Going against the 5'10" sophomore Jackson, and that really showed the mismatch there.
Martin gets doubled. Jackson finds Banks.
Yep. Southwest Missouri State gets back, and Ole Miss pulls up. They don't penetrate. They don't try and take advantage if there's any 2 or 3 on ones.
You know, Gilchrist has only gotten 1 3 off. There's another turnover. Robbins in the open floor for a moment. Great look. Beautiful look to Karen Rapier. Rapier now at 11, but Robbins made it happen.
They say she sees the floor, Tina Robbins, and she sees her opponents when she's not looking as well. Nice ball movement.
Biggest lead of the night for the Lady Bears. We're inside 2 minutes to go, first half from Boulder.
Creating points off turnovers. Southwest Missouri State making a science of it. They're looking for Charlotte Banks, but she is not open.
That one was a little short for Gilchrist. Banks had that hot early hand, but just one bucket here in the last 14 minutes.
Gehring had the ball, the post could have moved. Kicked it back out.
Jackie Martin missed the layup. Karen Rapier had the rebound, but we have a whistle.
Jackie Martin taking matters into her own hands. Gehring tried, she was underneath in the post, kicked it back out. Banks had it, she couldn't go anywhere, so Jackie Martin says, heck, I'm going to take it myself, I'll penetrate, I'll draw the foul. Jackie Martin has that leadership that Ole Miss needs. She is the coach on the floor.
We welcome you to the Coors Event Center in Boulder, Colorado. The Midwest Regional Final between Southwest Missouri State and the Lady Rebels of Ole Miss. I'm Drew Goodman along with Tracy Warren. Ole Miss led for most of the first half, but with 1:33 left, Southwest Missouri State has a 6-point advantage. 39-33. These two teams so evenly matched, and it's been close throughout, as we talked about at the outset.
What you're seeing is a physical Southwest Missouri State team beat the athleticism of an Ole Miss team. The teamwork for the Lady Bears is phenomenal.
Wingfield goes to the blocks to Muller.
Triple
and she's
team
tripled.
down low.
And just on the floor is Amy Nelson, number 10. She's playing with a broken foot. She's in maroon for the Lady Bears.
And she's got a bit of a limp.
And she hits her first shot. She's got a big limp, but that was ripped right through. 41-34, biggest lead of the night for Southwest Missouri.
Where we're going to see that injury affect her is on defense. See if she can make the cuts. She's on Gilchrist.
Wingfield dives, unable to save it.
The pressure defense from Southwest Missouri State.
That's the story here, 41-34. Let's go back to Chris Fowler in the studio. 54 seconds remain, and Nelson gets a big hand as she comes out of the game. What a great feeling for her. She wanted to play so badly the other night.
Well, what she did is go one offensive series. When they were back on defense, she got pulled out because defense is where she's most vulnerable with that injury.
Banks, long jumper. And now the crowd giving it to her a little bit. Banks said as long as we play our game, we won't have a problem with the crowd. But the 1,300 strong that have made the trip from Springfield, Missouri, appear to have a factor right now in this one.
And what Southwest Missouri State did on that last possession is use the 6'4" size of Heidi Muller. Okay, with another team, they might not get by with a lob. With a team like Ole Miss, where their tallest girl is about 6 foot, they get by with a lob.
Cheryl Burnett getting her team's attention. Could you ever do that? Can you whistle like that? Never been able to do that.
Burnett says she gets a lot of her defensive philosophies from Pat Summitt from Tennessee, from Dean Smith from the University of North Carolina. She said when she played on the playgrounds with a lot of guys, she'd dish it in, it was like a black hole, she'd never get it back. So she learned how to play defense, and it's the story ever since. It's taken her to the Elite Eight, and who knows, maybe to LA.
Right now, her club is up by 9. Shot clock is about 6 seconds ahead of the game clock as the first half winds down. Banks turns around and hits and then takes a tumble. Charlotte's all right, she's up. Banks with 9 here in the first half, and Amy Nelson back on the floor.
See if they try to go to Melody Howard for the 3.
They do, and that's going to be short. But it comes back to Muller. Howard with another opportunity, and she rips it. That'll do it for the first half. Ole Miss will start with the basketball. They got off to a great beginning, as we just mentioned, but then they were outscored in the last 5+ minutes by 13. And Much of that courtesy of the pressure defense you alluded to.
And we see their team starting to come together. Cheryl Burnett says, I want to crack the team down. Defense, work tough, cause turnovers. And that really was the reason for the run. Now, Van Chancellor, the head coach of Ole Miss, says, if I have a choice of when to be down, I want to be down at the end of the game because we play better then. And now the team that is second in the nation in field goal percentage is now 66% in the first half. From three, you don't send them to the line because they're doing well at free throws. They're out rebounding a more athletic Ole Miss team.
And they lead on the scoreboard by 10. Here's Martin trying for a 12th and 13th point. That was just off the mark, and Ole Miss scraps for the basketball, but Robbins comes away. How often does that happen? And now Banks gets it from Gehring, and Banks lays it in. So Ole Miss got the loose ball in a garbage bucket. Charlotte Banks now has 11.
Fighting fire with fire. You play a scrappy team, you got to play just as scrappy as they are. And leave Charlotte Banks to do that.
Rapier, she picks up right where she left off. 13 for Karen. Gilchrist just 1-3 in that first half. Banks, what a great entry pass. And Charlotte was too hard off the glass. Bacchus turns around and hits. Tanya, who's playing with 3 fouls, she sat down the last 8 minutes, 5 seconds of the first half.
Southwest Missouri State did not force that. Give them credit for pulling up and going to the higher percentage shot to Balcom, who was on the blocks, and hit the turnaround jumper.
Gilchrist wanted to get that 3 off, but Tina Robbins recovered so quickly.
Howard just got by with the bump there. That was close.
Well, the start of the Major League Baseball season is just a few days away, and we will have a spring training game for you. Plant City, Florida, St. Louis, and Cincinnati. That's live 7:30 Eastern tomorrow as we get set for a great number of Major League Baseball games this season on ESPN. Charlotte Banks will inbound it underneath. The Ole Miss Lady Rebels trailing by 12.
Let's not count Ole Miss out. Remember, they were trailing Penn State at the half, and they came back and won it in the final seconds of the ball game. This is a team that has been down. They've been 10 games down to the wire. 2 they were behind, so they are very volatile. They will most likely explode in this game. Van Chancellor says, when I press the buttons, when I want Charlotte Banks to score, when I want Jackson, I'll tell them, and they will.
Well, right there, Van Chancellor pressed Jackie Martin, and she knocked down her first shot of the second half. 13 for Jackie, the All-American candidate.
Ole Miss starting to step up on defense now, respecting the outside shooters.
What will it take for Ole Miss to get this thing back down into single digits?
Well, they need to start beating Southwest Missouri State on the boards and also close down on the outside shooters. They've stepped up now on defense.
Jackie Martin and Wingfield one-on-one on the open floor, and then knocked away from behind by Julie Howard. Great defensive play.
That is really the character of this Lady Bear team. They never give up a turnover. They come right back and look for a way to get it back.
Tina Robbins backs it out. Amy Nelson is getting set to come in at the point guard. The one with the broken foot. She was 1 of 1 in the first half. An inspirational player. Baca up fake and then leaves it short, and it comes away to Gilchrist.
She's got to go strong under there. She's going against Clara Jackson, who's 5'10". She's got to go strong. She's 6 foot. She's got the size advantage.
Ooh, Banks trading elbows for a moment with Wingfield. Now Charlotte pulls up. Summerall is fouled from behind, 34. Kristen Gehring gets ticketed. That's number 3 on Gehring.
Summerall had 4 rebounds in the first half, and you'll see she'll fight her way underneath to get position. She was one of the leaders on the Southwest Missouri State. She's not going to take anything under there. Summerall.
There's the big round of applause for Amy Nelson, the gutsy senior, playing with literally a broken bone in her foot. She has a broken 5th metatarsal.
Now look, she came in twice. Both were on offensive possessions. Will she be pulled when they have to go back on defense?
And all she did was step inside and knock down a 12-footer.
Here comes the double team now from Ole Miss. Van Chancellor stepping up the defense. Balcom is not the one you want handling the ball in this situation.
Summerall has it and was hacked on the way up.
That freshman is showing a lot of poise underneath, going against Gehring, who's a junior from Ole Miss.
And Gehring, the junior, just bought personal foul number 4, and Van Chancellor quickly has Clara Jackson up and back into the game. What will that do to Ole Miss? They are not very deep, and Gehring plays 34, 35 minutes a night.
Well, they're getting into foul trouble, and of course, Gehring provides a lot of muscle under the board, and when you're playing such a physical team as this Lady Bear team, that's some of the muscle, some of the air that's taken out of your defense and offensive boards. Let's notice now if Southwest Missouri State starts to take control off the glass.
We've mentioned it several times tonight. Both teams short in stature. Ole Miss tallest player is Gehring at 6 foot. She's on the bench with 4 fouls at the 16:50 mark.
One of the teams that's in the Final Four already, Virginia, has 2 6'5" girls in Heidi and Heather Burge. So either of these teams who makes it to the Final Four, if they should play Virginia, they're going to have their hands full.
Good defense. Banks loses it. Now she gets it back.
5 seconds on the shot clock.
They got to get one off. No, it was reset. They said that was a shot. Of course, the crowd, partisan to Southwest Missouri, doesn't like it. Will the basket count? No signal yet.
And Cheryl Burnett still wants that 30-second violation.
The foul is on Howard, Julie Howard. Watch this. 22 Gilchrist throws it in the general direction of the basket, and then the clock was reset.
Well, was it a shot or not? That's the definition, and obviously the officials say it was a shot and not a pass. It looked more like a lob pass. The officials are ruling yes, a shot, and that's the rule.
Well, it was one of 2 things. It was either an ugly shot or a great pass.
And a nice acting job.
And a very good acting job. 12-point lead right now for Southwest Missouri State. That is the largest they've had all evening. They led by 10 at intermission. And
DeCantner now calling it a 30-second violation. The official DeCantner, and now she'll need to meet with both coaches. She's calling Van Chancellor over with Cheryl Burnett.
Burnett applauding and Van Chancellor ripping off his glasses. But you have to credit the officiating crew, because in that situation, I believe she was throwing a pass, and here's Cheryl Burnett. She's signaling right there that it should be a shot clock violation.
And she credits Southwest Missouri State for throwing Mississippi out of their offense and forcing them to do things they do not want to do.
This has been now a long pause in the action, with 16:15 left in the game, and Ole Miss trailing by 12. It'll be interesting to see how both schools react.
You know, Drew, it's nice that you mentioned that. The long pause in the action gives Van Chancellor's team a time to rest. Remember, they are not deep in the bench. Gives their team a time to take a breather. Maybe he'll say, I'll drag it out a little bit. I'll chew off the official's ear, burn some more time, let my team take a breath. Now they're well rested. Now they come back and play.
And they look to pick up in the 3/4 court. Southwest, Tina Robbins, the basketball and the lead.
Kim Gilchrist is telling her Ole Miss team to talk.
Julie Howard. Now whistle. Jackie Martin reached in. I think the officials want to keep control of this. It's got much more physical here in the opening moments of the second half than it was in the first 20.
Well, Southwest Missouri State is starting to hit, or has hit, their outside shots. So the pressure defense on the perimeter is coming from Ole Miss. They're getting a little too aggressive, too much hand checking, too much bumping, and they're calling it. The officials are keeping it clean. The big thing is how are officials going to call it, and they're calling it.
Robbins wheels in and then blows the layup. Right now it looks like rugby.
Now, Southeastern Conference has been the dominant conference in women's basketball, and this year, if Mississippi gets knocked out, will be the first time
Oh, that hurts. Tina Robbins.
That an SEC team has not gone to the Final Four in a long time. That is the parity in women's basketball, and it is growing ever so popular all across the nation.
I'll give you an example of that in a moment. Tina Robbins now with 2 3-pointers. 15-point lead for Southwest Missouri. Huge possession right now for the Lady Rebels. They get it on the blocks, and there's a foul. Clara Jackson will go to the line. Let's go back a couple of moments ago. Robbins squares up in her form, pure.
What she's doing is providing another weapon from three-point land. They're shooting well over 63% field goal percentage, Southwest Missouri State. You've got to protect their outside shooters, but they're also out-muscling underneath the boards. Some of the things Southwest Missouri State wanted to do as we take a look at three-point field goal percentage was keep Mississippi off the boards. They're doing that. Defend posts on the wings. They're doing that. Wear Mississippi down. They're also doing that.
Clara Jackson has the first, and the second is short. Anjanette Summerall comes away.
Van Chancellor, on the other hand, wanted to be patient on offense, but you see his team rushing on offense. They're not finding the best shots.
Muller can't get it. There's Summerall again. She's gotten a number of offensive rebounds tonight. The crowd really reacts. We've mentioned about 1,300 strong have made the trip from Springfield, Missouri. During the regular season, they average 4,900 fans at their games back home at the Hammond Center. And it should be noted that there were two overflow crowds of more than 9,000, and the building holds only 8,600. They more than doubled their attendance, and they finished in the top 5 nationally. So they're crazy about the Lady Bears down in Springfield.
And we just read a 6-page spread in the local newspaper in Springfield about this Lady Bear team. It's really Lady Bear fever is catching on in Springfield, Missouri.
And they're at home, two crowds of more than 9,000. The men outdrew the women, but they only had one overflow crowd this year. So of the 3 largest crowds, 2 were for the Lady Bears.
Still the full court pressure defense by Southwest Missouri State.
Off the glass, tough shot by Jackie March. You get the feeling she's going to try to take this game over.
She can create. Here comes the double team now, and a turnover. No, not a turnover. It stays Lady Bear way.
14-point lead with 14:48. Cheryl Burnett leading. Her first couple of years, they were below 500, and then she got some of her recruits in. She likes athletic, tenacious defenders. I mean, it all begins with defense. Some coaches talk about it. She absolutely preaches it.
She's a defensive-minded coach, scrappy. She says we might not get the best athletes here, but we have girls who are working hard. And she says we might not get respect now, but you know what we'll do? We'll get it the old-fashioned way. We'll earn respect.
Wingfield tried to get it to Rapier, and Rapier was bumped from behind by Sabrina McNair, the third on McNair.
And Southwest Missouri State doing whatever it takes, skin, knees, and elbows to get that ball. They are scrappy. Maybe you saw the game against Texas, but this is really indicative of their type of play, and they're trying to out-muscle, out-hustle any team. Doesn't matter if you have Ole Miss across your chest, Tennessee, Virginia, they will play with the best.
That goes out of bounds off a maroon jersey, so the Lady Rebels will get it, trailing by 14, 57-43. Cheryl Burnett setting the defense. Long pass, Banks is there. Wingfield now gets back. She fouls her, count the basket. That's what Ole Miss needed right there, an opportunity for a three-point play.
Banks at 5'10" and a senior going against Wingfield, who's 5'8" and a junior, and Wingfield was really caught out of position. She's fooled there, tries to compensate, draws the contact, and it's a foul. A chance for a three-point play, and now Ole Miss is trying to pull closer as we get later and later into the half.
Wingfield now has 3.
Remember, Charlotte Banks did not have a good first half against Penn State. She did not have a good first half today. She came on strong, 16 points in the second half versus Penn State. Look for her to explode a little bit more in this game.
They double the basketball, but Tina Robbins has it. Stolen by Gehring. Gehring has Gilchrist. Gilchrist up and in, tough layup, much more difficult than it looked. And it's a 9-point lead. Back come the Lady Rebels. Rapier trying to answer, and she does. 15 for the senior from Jefferson City.
Ole Miss trying to put together a run, and they're beating Southwest Missouri State at their own game. Up-tempo now.
Gehring passed it right to Melody Howard. Howard is slapped on the wrist as she tried to go up. Gilchrist gets whistled for her first. Team foul situation now, 6 for Ole Miss and 3 for Southwest.
And Van Chancellor,
left.
his team can ill afford to get into foul trouble. He needs.
Chris, thanks very much. Southwest Missouri State leading by 11, 59-48 with 13:49 to go in the ball game. Ole Miss led early in this ball game. They had several 8-point leads, but then in the final 5:20 of the first half, a 13-point differential on the scoreboard as Southwest Missouri State went wild, and they have held the lead since then. It's been in by as many as 15 for Cheryl Burnett and her Lady Bears.
Southwest Missouri State has 9 different offensive weapons. 9 different girls are in the scoring column. They're beating Ole Miss on the boards. They're out hustling them, out muscling them. Ole Miss trying to put together a run using the athleticism of their girls. But as you see, the muscle from Southwest Missouri State is now taking over.
Baucom with the putback. Inbounding the basketball, Ole Miss has it. And the field goal percentage, both teams shooting well, but 65%. That is remarkable.
A lot of it coming on putbacks in the paint. Southwest Missouri State fighting for position underneath and getting points in the paint. But what would you expect from a team that is second in the nation in field goal percentage?
Boy, did they extend that defense out to about 25 feet. Banks is doubled, loses it, now has to force one up, and it doesn't go. It might go against Clara Jackson going over the top. By the way, congratulations to the University of Virginia and also Western Kentucky. They are already in the Final Four. They won earlier this afternoon. Virginia beat Vanderbilt. Western Kentucky knocked off Maryland.
Southwest Missouri State called the Cinderella team coming into this tournament, and they really are gaining respect as they go along. They're seeded 8th. They beat 9th seed Kansas. They upset number 1 seed Iowa in overtime. They beat UCLA rather handily. As we look at their rankings through the season, and they are in scoring margin number 1. They are averaging better than 80 points per game versus letting up 57. Field goal percentage, really dominating defense, and three-point field goal percentage. They've got a lot of weapons from out there as well.
And Cheryl Burnett's 52% from the field will go up tonight, shooting at 65%. They are up 16, biggest lead of the night.
They don't have the big names, but they certainly have the big stats, and that's really what counts when they're on the hardwood.
I imagine if you're playing against them, that doesn't go for Martin, and it comes away to a maroon jersey and Julie Howard. If you're playing against them, it must seem like there's 7 players out there defensively.
Van Chancellor wants to slow this pace down. He wants his Ole Miss team to get in the half court and play half-court basketball with Southwest Missouri State. They have not been able to do that. He wants to exploit the athleticism of a Martin, of a Banks. He hasn't been able to do that.
His club was picked to be 7th in the SEC in the preseason polls, and they won the SEC crown. You know, that was the first SEC championship at Ole Miss in any sport since 1977 when the baseball team won the Southeastern Conference. Players in trouble foul-wise. Cecilia Wingfield has 4 and a couple of Ole Miss players, and they are not that deep. We have harped on that throughout the evening.
For Ole Miss, Jackie Martin, one of their leading scorers, and Gehring, of course, she is also a threat. She's the muscle under the basket, and when you're facing a team that's as aggressive as Southwest Missouri State, you miss a Gehring and you miss a Martin.
It's an 18-point differential. There is enough time, but Ole Miss has to start clamping down defensively and hitting some shots. They're down 18.
Van Chancellor said, you know, I know we're not deep, but we've gotten this far on it, and whether we win or lose, we'll go with probably a 6-person team out there. With the girls in foul trouble, the lack of playing time for his bench is starting to show through. Now, this is the time for Southwest Missouri State to capitalize, but it's the time for Ole Miss girls who are in, like Charlotte Banks, to take control and start taking the ball to the hoop.
Batted away, Clara Jackson comes away. The foul situation, Ole Miss is in the penalty. And Southwest has another to give before they're in the penalty.
That's what Gehring's got to do. Just drive right to the basket and take her girls to the basket, draw the foul. Be a little more aggressive offensively. Don't always pop that outside jumper.
8 for Kristen, playing with 4 fouls, and she is gone. Kristen Gehring is just fouled out. The junior takes her 10-point average and 6 rebounds a game to the bench with 12:14 left, and now a real problem for Van Chancellor.
Credit Southwest Missouri State's Charity Shiver for recognizing that there were 4 fouls on Gehring and taking the ball to the hoop, drawing the foul, and putting her out of the game.
So sophomore Sabrina McNair will get extended playing time. McNair will go in for Van Chancellor. And she averages less than 4 points a game. As we look at Sabrina.
Van Chancellor said the key to his ball club, in addition to being Jackie Martin, was Charlotte Banks. He said, if we're going to play well, Charlotte Banks has to play well. And oftentimes I'll tell her, go ahead and start scoring. It's time, it's time. And you wonder when he's going to say it's time.
Well, he better tell a couple of people it's time right now. Jackie Martin and Banks, and also Clara Jackson, who had the wonderful start. She has been pretty quiet since scoring 6 points early in the contest.
It's a screen in the backcourt.
Jumper way off the mark. Williams scraps for it. It's a jump ball, and Ole Miss has the possession arrow in their favor.
Scraps is right, because there was no positioning, no boxing out. It was the ball went up in the air, and it was a free-for-all. Southwest Missouri State controlling the tempo and the style of play. Ole Miss, just take a breather, relax, do what you do best. Don't be forced into this Lady Bear type basketball. They're still trying to find their rhythm.
Martin from an NBA range, and that was off the mark.
She makes that, and it's a different ball game. You start respecting that outside shot. Defense pulls out a little bit, and you can start to penetrate. She misses it, and they're going to give her it all day.
Welcome back to Boulder, Colorado. Beware of the Bear. And right now, the Bears, the Lady Bears, with a 25-point lead. Drew Goodman, Tracy Warren from the Coors Event Center in Boulder.
Look at Rapier, tenacious defense. Now she's underneath the post. Muller screaming. Rapier, the hand still in the face. It's Wingfield.
They got it off. Banks with the follow. Hits. No, basket's waved off.
Shot clock violation, I believe. Or is he going to call foul?
I thought the shot was already off. Gilchrist is going to check.
Yeah, it is a shot clock violation.
Van Chancellor's angry.
We see the shot go off once, and the buzzer had sounded, and
it's difficult to tell. We can't hear when the buzzer went off.
Van Chancellor wants a foul called, but the official looked like he blew his whistle after the second shot, if that was a shot.
One of the things that Van Chancellor talks a lot about is college experience and the importance of experiencing many different things. For a lot of these girls from Oxford, Mississippi, it's their first chance to see snow. Charlotte Banks, his star senior, had never seen snow, and they went up to the mountains a couple of times. She thought it was the greatest thing in the world.
He said she sat in the snow and put it all over and threw snowballs and just got the feel of snow. Some things you really take for granted.
Imagine you don't get a lot of snow down in Oxford.
A lot of sunshine. And they're still debating this as they're checking with the lead official. Van Chancellor says his team is a family. We do things together with our sports information director and our trainer. And they're a tight-knit group.
They have changed the call. There was no shot violation, so Banks' bucket does count, and there's the rebound.
Look at the rebounds. I'll tell you, Final Four teams, Virginia, Western Kentucky, and Stanford, beware. There's a new team coming on the forefront, and they are scrappy, and they will do whatever it takes to get there.
First bucket for Casey Williams. But they're still down 21. They're relentless defensively. I mean, they don't give you an inch anywhere. No pass is easy. And you can see Ole Miss is worn down. Cheryl Burnett talks a lot about that. She says, we really believe that we're mentally tougher than every team we play, and we also believe that we out-condition every team we play. We're not worried about altitude, and we know we're going to win the last 5 minutes of the ball game.
She says her work ethic is old-fashioned and will earn respect of others. They may not respect us until we get to a Final Four, and she's about 5 minutes and 53 seconds away from that.
Another thing she talked about is that the reason our fans follow us is they know we work hard and they work hard. That didn't want to go down for Tina Robbins, but it comes away to Rapier.
You remember when the Pistons won the NBA championship, all the NBA teams started to resort to a defensive philosophy. Well, now when a team like Stanford made it to the NCAA championship with Jennifer Azzi, the three-point came on the scene. And now Southwest Missouri State is going to start to change the philosophy of a lot of coaches, become more defensive-minded.
And another player is fouled out for the Lady Rebels, Sabrina McNair.
Now it's number 32, Sabrina McNair.
And that is the style of Southwest Missouri State. They controlled the tempo. They got control of tempo about quarter through the first half, and they just played their scrappy ball, and they put a lot of bodies in and put a lot of bodies on the floor and forced Ole Miss into fouls. And as a result, they keep going back to the line, the Lady Bears. Karen Rapier now, a 73% free throw shooter on the line. They say she's very level-headed, and she's the director on the floor.
I want to go back to the first half for a moment. Rapier has just 5 points in the second half. But when they were down 8, with about 7 or 8 minutes left in the half, Rapier took the game over offensively for Southwest Missouri State. She hasn't had to do as much in the second half, but she was the catalyst and got her club back in it. And look at her going up, and she's a little bit short there. Took the offensive rebound down.
For a team to be successful against the Southwest Missouri State, they've just got to be just as physical and close them off the boards.
There's the three-point artist. Gilchrist, one of the best in the nation, but only her second of the evening. 11 for Kim.
And we're slowly watching the Ole Miss field goal percentage go down as the game wears on because they're getting more desperate. Southwest Missouri State, of course, did make it last year. They lost to Tennessee, but the parity is growing, and because of that, a lot of the selection committee wants to see the field expanded from 48 teams to 56 by 1994, and possibly beyond that.
Stolen and then knocked away by 32 Howard. Well, they don't want to give you anything. Not up by 19 late in the game.
And just the hustle that goes on now as Ole Miss is trying, but when one Lady Bear doesn't get you, the other one will be right on your back. And Cheryl Burnett says she has these rules on defense that everyone needs to follow. And what it is just basic defense.
Williams doesn't get it, but Clara Jackson's there for the follow, and Jackson now is in double figures with 11.
And now we're seeing some full court pressure by Ole Miss trying to make something happen in the last 4.5 minutes. Do they have the stamina to do it?
Robbins gets Sumrall up strong and in. Anjanette Sumrall. And Cheryl has her for another 3 years.
Credit Southwest Missouri State for breaking this press, taking the ball to the middle of the floor. That's Tina Robbins, draws the defender, dishes off, and Sumrall finishes the play. That is one way to get Ole Miss to call off the dogs on a full court press. Ole Miss now trying whatever they can. They've switched to a zone defense. Now they're to a full court man-to-man defense. That did not work.
Gilchrist from way outside, and that's short.
Short because she's a little bit fatigued and doesn't have that stamina and that muscle to connect that three-pointer.
Pretty good hands by Williams there. Southwest will have the basketball. 4:03 remaining. Southwest, one of 15 universities in this year's tournament to have a women's team in the tournament and a men's team in. The Bears of Southwest, the men's team, bowed out to Michigan State in the opening round, but they have been to the tournament 5 straight years.
Another Bear team, the UCLA Bruins, until the men got knocked out today. Of course, UCLA fell to the Southwest Missouri State team.
And UCLA blown out earlier today by Indiana and Bobby Knight.
Looks like there's an injury.
I think Williams got hit in the eye. Casey Williams is walking her way up to the other end of the floor.
It's 4-on-5 there, and that's the rebounding. One extra person underneath the boards. That was Melody Howard.
Summerall got away with a walk.
This has turned into a sloppy game right now. Very, very sloppy game. The fight has been knocked out of Ole Miss. Scrappy is the style of the Southwest Missouri State team.
Tried to pick one player for an MVP for Southwest Missouri. Inside 43, Bockham is now have 10 points. I'd pick Tina Robbins, 30. She's done a little of everything tonight.
And Anjanette Summerall. She has certainly done her share as the freshman on the boards and with the points.
Yeah, 13 points and a number of offensive rebounds. Away from the basketball, and it'll go against Anjanette. 88-67. You think women's basketball isn't physical? You see an elbow come up the corner of your screen right here. There it is. And Williams will have to apply some ice to that when this thing is over. 2:40 left. 21-point lead for the Lady Bears.
They are aching Ole Miss right now.
Gail Eves is in the scorebook now. 30 coming in. For Ole Miss coming on the floor is Archer.
Some more pressure by Ole Miss, trying to force the turnovers. The double team gets them into some foul trouble. Southwest Missouri State, just a tremendous season. It gets better every year for Cheryl Burnett. They've won 30 of their last 31 games, a school record 30 wins, and they'll make that 31 after tonight.
The lone loss early in the season down in Austin to the Lady Longhorns. One of the things that Cheryl has tried to do the last couple of years is upgrade her schedule. And I don't know how many people want to play her anymore.
Well, she played Arkansas and beat Arkansas, who was in the SEC. They were ranked 25th at the time. They beat them at the end of December. That game against Texas, it was when Vicki Hall was still healthy. That is a knee. Vicki Hall, that is a time Vicki Hall blew out her knee. I'll get that out. And really put a dent in the Texas season. But again, it's the scrappy play of the Southwest Missouri State team that forces a lot of bodies to the floor and a lot of injuries.
We were talking about the upgrading schedule. They played only 2 tournament teams coming in. And that might be as much as any reason why they were the 8th seed. As Summerall rips the basketball away from Casey Williams. Some frustration on the floor, naturally.
And asking the official for an intentional foul there, but no, she calls it a one-on-one. And this is how to pull the ball down with force and then use the elbows when someone's bugging on your back. And Summerall does just that. She's showing a lot of poise as a freshman. Of course, in high school, she averaged over 12 points and 9 rebounds. And she is a player who has really fit well into Cheryl Burnett's style of play.
Entering Summerall on the free throw line.
Everybody seems to know their role with Burnett's club.
I asked Burnett to tell me who would be playing who defensively for her team, who would be guarding who against Ole Miss, and she says, I can't tell you that. We have 3 and 4 and 5 different girls on one person, so I'm going to have to run down our lineup. They just throw different bodies at you to try and wear you down. Now we look at Virginia, their bench is kind of deep. Stanford, they're pretty deep, and Paul Sandiford, they've got to be deep to beat a Tennessee team that is extremely deep on their bench.
That three-pointer bounces around, and Summerall has yet another rebound. She's in double figures in rebounds, and then the reach-in foul. Diane Pimpton reached in. She just checked in for Van Chancellor's Ole Miss club. Here's the Final Four. Southwest Missouri State will be meeting Western Kentucky as the Midwest and the Mideast clash, and then East versus West, Virginia and Stanford. I don't know how many people would have thought that Southwest Missouri and Western Kentucky would have made the Final Four this year. That's why they play the games. That's
right. Last year, who would have thought Connecticut would have gotten that far? There's always a surprise team, but none more surprise than the Southwest Missouri State team. They are a true Cinderella team, which is going to the ball this year.
10 points for Howard. So many players now in double figures. Southwest Missouri. They're just really balanced.
Now they're keeping the pressure up, but backing off a little bit. They don't want to foul, don't want to stop the clock, allowing those three-pointers because, as you see, they're not getting hurt by them. Ole Miss.
Have you seen Western Kentucky play this year?
Not seen them play, but I'll tell you what speaks a lot for them is beating Tennessee and Pat Head Summit. 75-70 was the score, and you know they are a force to be reckoned with.
Shira takes a tumble, and they will call yet another foul against Ole Miss, and Shira will go to the line. Again, a reminder, more college basketball coming your way this Monday and Wednesday. The semifinals of the NIT, Virginia and the Florida Gators. That'll be at 7 p.m. Eastern, and then the Utah Utes and the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame following that ball game from Madison Square Garden. And then we will carry the championship game for you here on ESPN Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern time. And all of those ball games, all three of them will be live. 1:31 left here in Boulder, 92-69. It has turned into a blowout, and I don't think very many people would have figured that.
If this was Van Chancellor's year, if he was going to do it, it was this year because he had 6 seniors on his team. He says goodbye to 6 seniors, the quality of a Jackie Martin, a Charlotte Banks. He has so many weapons. Kim Gilchrist, a 3-point specialist, she is gone. He has 2 juniors, 4 sophomores, 1 freshman.
He lost, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Type of rebuilding year for him next year.
He'll say goodbye to Gail Leeds and also his daughter, Renee Chancellor. She's injured right now. She plays a little bit coming off the bench, but daughter Renee will be moving on, getting her degree. He has a son, Johnny, who is a women's high school basketball coach, so it's all in the family thing. 1:11 left, 25-point lead for the Lady Bears.
And on the other side of the fence, Cheryl Burnett's Bears, she calls her dream team.
94 points, and if you don't know about the Lady Bears now, well, you're just not reading the paper or watching the tube. They are for real. The 8th seed in the Midwest, they'll become the highest seed ever to make the Final Four, and they'll bring a lot of folks with them to the sports arena in Los Angeles. And they're a vocal crowd, too. I mean, they didn't just drive up and sit on their hands. Over 1,300 people making the trip from Springfield. This was the first meeting of the year, or first meeting ever between Ole Miss and Southwest Missouri, and they had been well below 500 during the SEC, during competition with the SEC.
You've got to give credit to Cheryl Burnett. They lost their leading scorer last year, LaWanna Dawson, and look what she's done in her 5 seasons at Southwest Missouri State.
And it's 76 now and 15 in the last 3 years. And she'll be 31-2 when the horn goes off in 1 minute and 11 seconds.
3 Gateway titles, and what a way to say goodbye to the Gateway Conference is to go out a winner.
They'll be moving over to the Missouri Valley Conference.
And I bet you she will have a lot of people knocking at her door next year wanting to get on her schedule.
Or maybe not. Here's a good look at Renee Chancellor. Not one of her better moments, but she's moving on. And you know what? Her dad is the kind of guy, and you can almost see a smile on his face. He will have this team laughing by tomorrow morning. He'll find something positive in this and something positive in the experience. He believes we win together, we lose together, and he's one of those guys that's few and far between in college athletics, where he really believes that too much emphasis is put on winning and losing at times. And he said this yesterday, he said this at the shoot-around today.
I'll tell you, the Lady Bears are enjoying this moment. 5 years for Cheryl Burnett has come together. Just look at the faces of that bench. They are so excited. This is a dream come true for a dream team, which is counting the final seconds.
That shot rolls in. Those will be the final numbers. 94-71. The Lady Bears of Southwest Missouri are headed to the Final Four.